Welcome, everyone. We're back. You can see Kevin and I are ready to go. Another episode of Back and Forth with Becker Orr. Lots of fun topics at the bottom, including market drawdowns as our lead-off topic, and backed by popular demand, a lightning round. You're going to want to stick around.
Yeah, a variety of topics to cover today on Back and Forth. As usual, if you want to find out more of these or our financial 15s or anything else, please visit our website at beckerorr.com. Go to our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook. We are more than happy to deal with any questions you have or anything else that you want to talk about. So before we go any further, let's get into it. We're talking drawdowns here, Clint. What exactly do we want to define today on a drawdown?
Yeah, this is the market drawdown. We've talked about it a few times, particularly because of the big indexes. You look at the TSX in Canada, look at the S&P in the U.S. or the Dow in the U.S., and they just keep going up. They haven't really had a correction at all in 2021, really since the fall of 2020. So we had a good stretch there. But that doesn't tell the whole story. And now we have a great piece here that I'll pull up. This is by Liz Ann Saunders from Charles Schwab. And she looks at a number of other asset classes that have definitely seen drawdowns in 2021. You can see top of the list, Bitcoin at one point this year dropped 53%. The next category, there's the Goldman Sachs non-profitable technology basket. That's non-profitable U.S. listed companies that are in innovative industries. They had a big pullback, about 38%. The ISPAC Index, you might remember beginning of the year there, Kevin, everyone and their brother had a SPAC, these special acquisition companies.
Yes.
They took a big dive. The IPOs, the initial public offerings, they took a dive. The GS, that's the Goldman Sachs most shorted stocks. That looks at the Russell 3000 most shorted stocks. They took a big dive. And then, of course, your meme stocks have been all over the map. Some pretty big drawdowns in those as well. So while the big, broad markets have done okay, many other areas have taken it on the chin, Kevin. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody's got to remember the one thing that, a lot of the time when you're reading this stuff, it's an index. So it's got a variety of different areas in there. That does not mean that every single stock there has gone up or it hasn't had a drawdown in those sort of cases. So again, if you even look at that sort of, the top 5 in the tech industry, they've done fairly well. That means that not everything else in that industry has. So you can get a lot of them that easily had the 5, 10, 15%. And of course, after the Robin Hoods and everything else in the world, we saw the meme stocks there, right? You can't continue that surge all the way up without somebody taking profit down the road. And again, that applies to IPOs, that applies to new technology. So yeah, this is not surprising, and it shouldn't be a shock to anybody going forward. But it is definitely something that, let's take a look at it. Let's make sure that you realize that it's not everything that's not going down. It's more of a generalized index.
Yeah, and that's the idea. You might look at the big broad market and just think, oh, it's been very, very calm, and the big index has. But you have to keep in mind the indexes are not equally weighted. All stocks are not treated equally within that index. The bigger the company, the more weight they have. So in the U.S., for example, you've got 5 or 6 giants that make up almost 25, 30% of that index. So the Apples, the Amazons of the world, as long as those keep going up, that S&P 500 will keep inching higher. But under the surface, you've seen lots of rotation, lots of drawdowns. So 2021 under the surface has been quite choppy. And that's what that prior chart, the one I'll pull back up here, that's really the story here. Is you had lots of sectors that have seen some pretty big drawdowns, lots of choppiness under the surface. But let's move on, Kevin. I know we always talk politics on occasion, certainly U.S. politics when it relates to the economy. What's going on with that big U.S. infrastructure bill?
Yeah, the U.S. infrastructure bill, originally what they wanted to come out with was sort of that $1 trillion scenario strictly for infrastructure. They were going to build charging stations. They're going to fix bridges and roads and everything along those lines. And the $1 trillion bill has got bipartisan support in the Senate. What we're now looking at, though, is they're trying to tie it to a $3.5 billion extra fund that they want to deal with a whole bunch of other odds and ends, helping out for dealing with a variety of different options that are dealing with on the Democratic side of the scenario. So you're getting a back and forth on this. And that's basically what it is. They're trying to tie the two of them together, but you're also getting a lot of people in both the House and the Senate that do not want to tie it. Am I not making that sort of sense in the easiest way to describe it?
Oh, no, you can see the headline there from The Guardian on the bottom of the screen. Joe Biden has to kind of referee the Democrats to try to get through that $3.5 billion budget bill. So you have the two, the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, then you have the $3.5 trillion budget bill. And what they did is to make it bipartisan, to get enough Democrats, Republicans on board, they really trimmed down the infrastructure bill. And then they put all the goodies that the Democrats wanted in that second budget bill, and it's $3.5 trillion, but they're fighting over it. It's not exactly a unison front. And the question is, I'm going to throw this to you. One, does it get passed? If not, what's the impact on the market?
Well, yeah, I don't know that you're going to get it passed completely in the state that it is. I think that you may get the infrastructure bill passed if they can separate it. I mean, I know Pelosi on the one side doesn't want to separate. She wants to make it a tandem sort of scenario, but she has said at the end of this month that she will put it to a vote. So the $1 trillion infrastructure package, I think, can go. I don't know that you're going to get that $3.5 billion reconciliation. And because you've got moderate Democrats in the Senate, all you need is one dissenting vote. The whole thing's canceled. So that's going to be the way it is. So I'd go with one yes, one no, and, flip a coin today. That's the way it seems to work for me. You?
I'd be in the same thing. And when you look at the Senate, you've already had two senators, moderate senators, one from West Virginia and one from Arizona, already said, hey, $3.5 trillion is probably too big for my liking. So maybe there's a trimmed down version there that eventually gets through. But the second question, do the markets care? I don't know. Right now, I'd say it's probably not priced in. It's a little too uncertain whether or not that one gets through. So if it doesn't happen, I don't think it'll be a big surprise to markets. So I agree with you. Maybe one gets through, the other not. But I don't think there'll be a big market reaction either way. But let's move on. Right. We're already jumping ship here, Kevin. We're going right to the lightning round, right to what people want to see. Do you want to lead off?
Exactly.
Do you want me to lead off with my questions here?
Let me put my thinking toque on, and I'm set and ready to go. Whenever you get that chance.
All righty. I'll lead us off. I got them all written down. Rapid fire fashion here. You can yes or no, a longer answer. That's all up to you. But most folks know you're a big sports fan. Bombers just had quite the win in the Labor Day Classic, but it's always hard to beat the same team 2 weeks in a row. Banjo Bowl is coming up. Do the Bombers win the Banjo Bowl?
I'm going to go against convention, which says that you can win one, but you can't win both. I'm going to say they take the Banjo Bowl this weekend.
Ooh.
I thought they played a solid game, great defensive strategy when they played on the Labor Day. I think they bring that here. I mean, I know Saskatchewan's going to try to tweak a few things around. You're going to have 34,000 plus in Winnipeg cheering on the Bombers.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to turn on our tide this year. Can't guarantee it, but that's my view.
I tend to agree, especially the way they played in the Labor Day Classic. That was pretty much a blowout. Moving on, we got an election here in Canada on the 20th. Polls show it's a tight race. On the 20th, Kevin, do we get a minority government or a majority government? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm going minority. I have to say it that way. I mean, if you'd have come out strong with the Liberals going forward, yeah, maybe that works. But I think it's going to be the same government we've got right now. And of course, the markets aren't having any reaction because I think they think the same thing.
Markets don't like surprises, and right now it looks like it's leading to minority if you believe the polls. So we'll see what happens on the 20th there. But talking markets, in September, if you look at the history, seasonally, September is the worst month of the year when it comes to the markets. We're a few days in here. When you look at the major indexes, the TXX in Canada, the Dow, the S&P in the U.S., for September, they're going to be up or down? I'm
going to say down. I feel like I'm on the prices right here, up or down, and guessing what the prices are on things. No, I'm going down. I would say traditionally it's happened. I think this month it will. We've gone 8 months in a row now without any sort of a downside. I think we're going to get it. People are back now from summer. School started. Fall's upon us, and it's just, I got to find something else to do. Down. That's all I'm saying.
All righty. Talking economy here. Last week, U.S. had a very disappointing jobs number, way under expectations. This Friday, Canada reports their jobs number. Higher or lower than expectations?
I'm actually going to say it's higher than expectations. And the reason is between Alberta opening, every other state or every other province basically opening over this course of time, I think that we're going to have a bit of an increase. And whether or not that sustains itself going forward with the fourth wave that's now upon us, I don't know, but I think it's going to be higher. All
righty. We'll put that on the books. We'll come back to see if you're right. We're recording that one. Last question for you here. We have two Canadians in the U.S. Open tennis semifinal. Will a Canadian win the U.S. Open? That'd be the two tournaments in a row if it happens. Is it going to happen?
I'd love to say yes, but I just have this feeling that the Canadians luck is running out in the semifinals. Ojai Aliassime is going up against the number 2 seed. So is Lila. So is Leela. I think that it's going to come to an end. You can only go so far. All right. That'll be a tough finish. Well, let's change the seats here. I'll put myself in the hot chair. You can fire away when you're ready. All right. Let's go. We know you're a big Marvel movie fan. I'm in the same boat. I can't even pronounce things anymore. Over the weekend, Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings opened. Now, the big thing is it opened only in the box office, unlike Black Widow. Is this a new model? What are we doing with here?
I think they learned their lesson after the whole Scarlett Johansson kerfuffle. The Black Widow opened on their streaming platform at the same time as in theaters. My wife and I did the streaming platform. We thought it was fantastic. Then they come along 3 months later or 2 months later and smash it with Shang-Chi, and it breaks the records for the Labor Day weekend. And they only do it in theaters. I think there's a message there. I think they've learned their lesson. They'll release it on the streaming platform in a couple of months. They're probably not going to try to do both at the same time going forward.
I think you're right. I think that's a smart move on their part. Okay, getting forward. We had the interest rate, or we're having an interest rate announcement this morning in Canada. The FOMC meets in roughly a week and a half. Are they going to taper?
I think so. I think they've given us enough hints and clues in the U.S. that they're going to start to taper. I won't be surprised if that happens. In fact, I expect it to happen in their September meeting.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. They've been hinting at it now for a month and a half, so I see this is going to go on. Now, being on that sort of case, Canada's opened its borders. We announced that it was Tuesday, I believe, yesterday, that we are open now to the internationals. Will we see the U.S. border open to Canadians to drive across and go to Fargo by the end of September?
Oh, I'd love to say yes, but they keep pushing that back. So I'm gonna hedge my bet and say no. Probably not going to happen. It'll probably get pushed later into the year.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely a possibility. I can see that going. Now, I like to watch a lot of different TV shows. I watch streaming services, non-streaming services. I know that you tend to watch some of those too with Disney Plus and all that. The Emmys are coming up in the course of a week. Now, will a non-streaming service show win a major award this year?
No. I think the streaming shows have the quality television. They're throwing big bucks behind it. There's lots of competition to get content. They've got like the gold standard right now when it comes to content. I think they're going to dominate the Emmys like they have in prior years.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Maybe one sneaks in. I've seen it before, maybe one, but that's about it. All right, I got the majority of my questions down. Now let's get to the last one. We have now got not really a vaccine passport, but basically there's rules. You want to go to concerts, you want to go to jet games, bomber games, whatever the case may be. You need to be double vaccinated. You need to prove it. Now that these are rules that are in place, are we going to see more vaccinations coming up significantly, or are we just going to see it sort of a slow stream? What's going to go on?
I lean towards a slow stream, and the reason is specifically for Manitoba. I mean, other parts of the world, other parts of Canada could be different. Manitoba, we already had relatively high numbers. The first vaccination shot was already over 80%. Second shot already in the high 70s. So you have to think the majority of folks have already been double vaccinated in Manitoba. So you're looking at a smaller group that is unvaccinated. Maybe some of them, this will encourage them to get vaccinated. I can't see it being a massive difference. I can't see it going from a high 70s settling to high 90s. I think it's more of a slow crawl upwards with these new rules. So not a monumental difference, but a small difference is what I'd be expecting.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And that's easily the way it's going to go from there. But yeah, I'm out of questions now for this week. We will come up with more for the next time. Again, if you want to know anything about the two topics we started with on drawdowns or infrastructure, or more importantly, any of the big questions that we tackled that are life-changing for everybody, please visit us below at chatwithclintonandkevin.com. We're more than happy to answer those questions, or to the best of our ability, figure out what the meaning is and go from there. Any final points, Clint?
Those are definitely life-changing questions. That's a very fair point. And on that highlight, we're going to end it, and we'll be back again next week with another video. Take care.